Argylle sucks. Yo, the biggest release in the first 2 months of the calendar year of 2024 is an all-time stinker, bro. $18 million in its opening weekend. It's gonna go on to lose and cost Apple Studios somewhere north of $300 million. Like, this is absolutely crazy, man. And it's not because it was poorly marketed and had a bad release window. I mean, it had zero competition. Everything else that was supposed to, kind of float January, it's like, okay, cool. It ended up getting unexpected help from Wonka and Aquaman 2 of all things, which ended up being the highest grossing non-Justice League affiliated, or I guess post-Justice, I forget the way that it's categorized. It ended up making more money than Black Adam. I'll just go ahead and put that out there, which is absolutely wild. It had pretty decent legs into most of January, and then, Mean Girls? Mean Girls was just kind of in a holding pattern, but Argylle, it has, big stars like Henry Cavill. It was supposed to be a big, comedy action set piece for him until it was exposed that, oh yeah, Henry Cavill's only in like 7 minutes of the movie and the rest of it is just a bait and switch rom-com about a lonely single white woman with a cat. Wow, imagine that. No wonder everybody's pissed off because of it. I've talked about this phenomenon beforehand. It's like, I like Henry Cavill. I really hope that he succeeds in some foray and some opportunity that he gets, but it comes a point in time, right, where if you continue to take all of these shitty jobs, eventually one of them, you kind of have to reconcile with the fact that you keep taking all of these bad jobs. Like, obviously, fire your agent. They are setting you up with some terrible choices, but if you keep taking these terrible roles, at the end of the day, you got to end up taking some responsibility for this stuff. Ultimately, Henry, very likable guy, very talented actor, has been given some terrible breaks, but buddy, you keep doing this type of stuff. You keep showing up at the theaters when nobody else does. People are going to stop giving you the benefit to the doubt and maybe retroactively go, yeah, I know you were kind of wasted as Superman, but yeah, in those roles where you were Superman, your films didn't really make that much money, and you kind of got to bear some responsibility on that. That's not great. But anyways, Argylle for being a bait and switch disaster. For being the only remarkable thing about it was in the pre-release material in the trailer that was out there. Everybody was like, "Ooh, Dua Lipa's, yo man, that's a bad bitch right there." And Henry Cavill in an action scene, and John Cena not being a cringe magnet. This could be all right. Oh no, then there's the rest of the film, and then also trying to tie it into Mark Millar's grander Kingsman kick-ass universe. What the hell are you guys doing out here? Okay. Make a good film to start with, but Argylle crashes with the C+ cinema score and $18 million opening. Hollywood is in trouble, hugely in trouble. But as long as they can go ahead and get to February 14th, Madam Web will be the saving grace, guys. Don't worry about it. Can Apple sustain this reign of $200 million productions? Can they end up sustaining a loss of Marvelian proportions? The theatrical marketplace is starving for big movies. A post-strike Apple original films, $200 million pickup of Matthew Vaughn's Argylle isn't cutting it with $18 million domestic, $35 million global start. That is, yo man, that's ridiculously terrible. Like, even the projections from Madam Web don't look that bad, but holy, yeah, C+ cinema score, 3 stars on ComScore, yeah, Screen Engine's post-track, and it's getting savaged. Like, Rotten Tomato scores don't really mean that much, but it was hovering somewhere in on and around 30. Maybe it got up to 40%, but it was sitting like mid-30s. It's not good. It's not good. At the end of the day, this a multi-supporting actor and actress ensemble isn't provoking people to drive their cars to the cinema. Yeah. It's about where tracking saw it, but you need to finally come clear and say it ready, despite Apple being a $2.87 trillion company and able to shell out these $200 million, or in some cases $150 million budgeted movies like Napoleon and Killers of the Flower Moon. Make no mistake, dollar for dollar on the motion picture P&L sheet, these are losses, and in some cases they don't have the ancillaries that other movies do, a la foreign TV. That's not even a theme park or a cruise ship to further exploit these movies. Yes, in the case of Napoleon, which lost money, Killers of the Flower Moon, well, at least it might win some awards. Like, that's good. there's a small transactional home entertainment window. Furthermore, if Apple isn't going to get hurt by the 35% Rotten Tomatoes critically derided Argylle, which, if you listen to a review, I tried to start, but holy shit, even the reviews of this shit make absolutely no sense. There's people that I like reviewing it. And I just I couldn't stomach this nonsense. It just sounded so bad, so much like everything else that we're expecting to stomach coming out of modern day Hollywood. Get your shit together, guys. There's people willing to engage with the product. If you just simply serve the base that's out there, people will come to the cinema. But when you don't, when you continue to take your audience for granted, this is what you get. Well, it's a distribution deal, and read on. How does Apple get away with not being dinged? Is what I'm often asked from several industry sources. When it comes to the tech company playing the field at the box office, on one hand, there's something to be thankful about the exhibition that the streamer is embracing wide theatrical. Sure, exhibitors need movies like Air, and in the case of Argylle stateside, Air. That was about Nike forming the partnership with, the Jordan brand, and that should be capitalized. And I hear that was really good. Even though that premise, in stark contrast to Argylle, it doesn't really sound like much, but guess what? Air's tremendous. Argylle, well, you've seen the reviews, right? Then again, the overall marketplace isn't at an estimated $63.4 million this weekend for all titles, 22% down from a year ago. That is absolutely crazy. But I found this interesting little talking point here. But one of the biggest talking points, there it is, ahead of the release of the movie, we're talking about Argylle, is the conjecture that Taylor Swift might have been involved in the movie thanks to prominent presence of Argylle patterns and a cat in the promotional materials. What? Yo, man, like, I thought Swifties were supposed to be super loyal to anything that even has a hinting glimpse of Taylor attached to it, but I guess they missed this one. Just really waiting for the Super Bowl. The big fans, right? They love the Kansas City football team. But the rest of the box office went as such. Second place on the weekend went to a Christian drama series, The Chosen. In the first 3 episodes of the 4th season, the series, which dramatizes the life of Jesus, played in 2,263 theaters, my mistake. Angel Studios, which also had that blockbuster from last year, Sound of Freedom, release grossed $6 million Friday through Sunday. Yeah, but it probably also had like a minuscule budget. So on another quiet weekend in cinemas, the rest of ticket sales went mainly to holdovers and awards contenders. Warner Brothers' Wonka in its 8th week crossed $200 million domestically. After 4 weeks in theaters, Paramount's Mean Girls crossed $100 million. The Beekeeper from Amazon MGM, neared $50 million in its 4th week. American Fiction, $15 million from MGM. Poor Things, $28.2 million. Rounding out the top 5, and like I alluded to, it's like, what else is on the release slate before the end of the month? Madam Web for us all to laugh at and, make us forget about Henry Cavill's blown out brush cut. The hell is going on there? That's kind of strange, but not the biggest disaster associated with this film. There is something coming out at the end of the month in certain areas, which will go ahead and, try to end up bolstering something, end up trying to turn around a little bit, and that's going to be a Dune 2, and they got their marketing kicked off quickly with one of the most hilarious things I think I've seen in a very long time. And I know the original Dune was it was appreciated, at least for being able to adapt a book that everybody thought was impossible to properly adapt to the big screen. Denis Villeneuve ended up working his magic on the original. on the first of the planned trilogy, which apparently Zendaya and the rest of the crew are down for, to try to make a Dune Messiah, which is absolutely bonkers, at least from some of the source videos that I've heard on it. I haven't read any of the books at all. Okay, Frank Herbert's the grandiose style of a lot of thoughts and looks, writing just doesn't really do anything for me, but it's a very interesting story. And, for the people that are anticipating Dune 2, congratulations. There's something good for you to look forward to, and then for you to also experience when you go to the theaters for the first time in order to, inspire anybody to show up to the theaters, okay? And they're pulling out all the stops. Everyone thinks that this Dune 2 popcorn and merch is actually a sex toy. Yeah, Yeah, it's hilarious, by the way. A highly anticipated Dune Part 2 is about to hit cinemas, and it comes with a collectible popcorn bucket that has raised some eyebrows. Yeah, because even if you don't know Dune, chances are you probably know one of its most iconic visuals, right? Like, maybe you don't know who the Bene Gesserit are. Maybe you don't know what House Atreides is. Maybe you don't know, it's like, okay, the little French actor, it's like, who's he playing? Paul, Peter, whatever, okay? But you're gonna know that Dune is associated with, well, big old sandworms. And the fact that Denis Villeneuve could go ahead and bring that to the screen in a more realistic and serious way that David Finch did back in the 80s, well, good on him. You know, technology has advanced quite a ways, even though you couldn't tell that from modern Marvel releases, but doing a hell of a good job this time around, right? But we'll have its premiere next month at the end of February. That's when this came out. This article came out at the end of January, but you know, with a talented cast including Wonka's Timothée Chalamet and fashion icon Zendaya, sure, gathering to promote the sequel. The first film, based on Frank Herbert's novel of the same name, received critical acclaim, 11 Oscar nominations. Did it really? That's how many Return of the King got. Stop throwing those around, you weirdos. And $402 million worldwide box office, which was... It turned a profit, but it did have a day-and-date release with HBO Max, and it was released during that time when everybody was still scared of the coof. But whatever. After being delayed to the studios during the writers and actors strike, yeah, this was supposed to have already been released in November. Just how much more hilarious would that box office have been for the Marvels had Dune 2 been released? Anyways, Dune 2 is finally coming to cinemas, and the marketing is certainly interesting. Sneak peek of the promotional popcorn bucket, which, keep in mind, this is a popcorn bucket, by the way. And yeah, I showed you the sandworm for a very obvious reason, because, well, they tried to turn the sandworm into a popcorn bucket, which cylindrical, okay, the bucket, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Yes, shows a design based on the giant desert sandworms called the Shaya Halud, the popcorn bucket. Yes, native by the native freeman, bursting from the sands. While the worms may be horrifying beasts from Arrakis, dirty-minded cinema goers, you don't even have to be dirty-minded on this one. It looks the way it looks, because there you have the popcorn bucket topper. Okay, it kind of looks like a well from the side, and it's like, what are you doing here? But then you take a look at the top, it's like, fuck you doing? Like, it's supposed to be you're supposed to reach your hand in there and pull popcorn out, and it's going to be covered in butter and salt, and that's going to become incorrigible, and people are going to try to fuck it. Like, let's not mince words here, okay? You got the little, frilly, not baleen on the side, but what the fuck? Who designed this? Is somebody just trying to have a laugh? And the fact that it has, like, little flowery lips on this, like, what the fuck, man? According to numerous people online, it suffers an unfortunate design. Very much so. Similar to a fleshlight. Yeah, exactly. Like, guys... If it was supposed to look like, if you were supposed to be trying to tell this joke, congratulations, good on you for that one. It's like Dune doesn't necessarily need the marketing help. It's going to be big to begin with, and it's going to be the first opportunity for anybody to give a shit to go to the cinema. It's just, I think this is probably the only film that could probably get away with this and not have it hurt the audience, because it's a serious film. I think it's going to be rated, is it going to be rated R, or at least it's going to have like a very high rating on that one. But yeah, man, Paul, and I forget what Zendaya's character's name is. If you were looking forward to, I don't know, maybe seeing them get it in, even though chances are in a 2024 movie, you're never actually going to see anything graphic. You could just simply look down at your popcorn bucket while you're experiencing what you're seeing on the screen and get something similar. Or, if you got a hot date that's out there, I guess that's the second hole that you're going to need in that bucket. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.